Hello everyone, welcome to week 8 presentation. And the topic of my presentation is about some introduction about chapter 16, lexical meaning. And before my start, I will give you three key questions, and I hope you can have your own answer after my presentation. The first one is how do children learn word meanings? And the second one is what role do adults and context play during infant learning speaking? And the third one is what assumptions that children's influences. So let's move on to first part, introduction. Okay, so children began producing their first words around age 1, with comprehension developing more rapidly than production. Word learning is embedded in conversational context, while children interpret meanings based on adult usage. From early on, they appear to use pragmatic assumptions such as speaker intent and the cooperative principle, which was introduced by Grass. Learning lexicon involves grasping not only the forms of words, but how they are conventionally and intentionally used in communication. So as we can see in the graphs, which shows vocabulary size about words in different age of people. And people begin lexical development around age 1, and you can see eruption from age 6 to around 20, which is an adult period of people. And let's move on to the second part, how children acquire initial meanings. The first thing is about two approaches to the acquisition of lexical meaning. And the first approach is constraint-based approach. So children may rely on innate constraints to help size meanings. Uh, there are three different constraints. The first one is whole object constraints. So this means children may think words refer to whole objects. So when you tell a children this is a desk, when you refer to a brown toy dog, children may assume that dex means the whole dog rather than the tail, the color, the texture of this dog. And the second one is mutual exclusivity. So uh, one object only has one label. So when you point to this dog on the screen and said it was a dog, and the next time you tell it's a samoyed, he may not think the samoyed is this dog. And the third one is taxonomic constraints, which means words, label, category, types. This when you tell children this is a blanket and show him a dog, when the infant show a second dog and a bone, he may point the second dog as the blanket rather than the bone, as they may think this is a type of animal. When useful initially, these constraints are too rigid and must be overcome as vocabulary expands to include actions, properties, and relations. The second approach is pragmatic-based approach. So children assume communication is cooperative and guided by joint attention and context. This involves the cooperation from adults and the infants. They attend to conventionally and contrast from very early on. For example, when adults point to a fruit and ask, "Do you want the peach?" and the children will say a pink round fruit and nods. Even without knowing this word peach, the children will use context and joint attention to infer peach is this pink fruit in this context. And the children sees a similar fruit and says peach. The adult gives them a peach. and this meaning is reinforced in this action. Okay, let's move on to uptake and fast mapping. So fast mapping refers to how children can assign a tentative meaning to a new word after just one or two exposures, even without full understanding. And children use context, speaker intention, and contrast to narrow down the possible meaning of a word. Even if the meaning is initially vague or broad, they will often retain the word and adjust in over time with more exposure. For example, when a children hears the word spaniel in the presence of a dog and a cat, if the adults ask for the spaniel, the children force the cat. The adult corrects them, and the children will understand that in this context, spaniel refers to the dog rather than the cat. Children also ask questions like, "What's that?" to learn new words from adults and actively driving their own vocabulary growth. Um, so all in all, fast mapping is a quick assignment of meaning based on one or few exposures, and they refine meanings as they gather more contextual evidence. Um, but overextensions such as calling all small animals dog are common but decrease with vocabulary growth. Children actively seek word meanings, often asking what's that? And direct offers for new words is another way um uh of of learning new words. Um, so adults often introduce new words explicitly using syntactic frames like "this is a blah blah blah" and uh, by asking the question "what is this?" and answer themselves "this is a blah blah blah." And by this way, new words are usually stressed and repeated. Uh, during this process, children often echo them, and beyond the naming, adults provide additional information about function, part-word relationships, contrast, and category. These elaborations help children refine their understanding. And let's move on to part three, refining and structuring and structuring word meanings. The first is putting meanings together. The second one is semantic domains, and the third one is words to fill lexical gaps. So the first one, putting meaning together. Children began combining words around age 1.2 to 2 years old, and early combinations are context-dependent. As grammatical knowledge increases, children began using morphosyntactic cues to infer the category or meaning of unfamiliar words. They can infer the unfamiliar words in the certain context, such as the words followed the verb, monetary verb can, might be a verb, and they can use known verbs to infer the meanings of new nouns in the certain context. For example, in a picture, so the parents tell the infant to feed the ferret. They may neither know the meaning of feed nor the word of nor the meaning of ferret, but they can guess. Feed means you should give some food to this animal, and this animal possibly be the ferret. The second is semantic domains. So words are organized into semantic networks such as animals, actions, and locations. And adults help children to categorize these new words into different domains by emphasizing contrast properties and hierarchies. So children's understanding of domains deepens over years and is often partial or imprecise at first. So children and adults may help children to category cat, kitten, and tiger into the category of mammal. And the next is words to fill lexical gaps. Children coin new words using processes like the first one, denominational verbs, brooming, which refers to the action of sweep, and the compounds, uh, they may coin new words house smoker for chimney smoker, smoke, and the third one derivation. Uh, so when they coin new words, sworder, they refer to a person with a sword. But these coined words are driven by transparency, simplicity, and productivity. When children grow up and learn conventional forms, many of their coinages are abandoned. And the next part, meaning beyond the word. Children can interpret implicators, unstated meanings from around age 4. For example, they can understand that I ate some may infer to that you didn't finish eating, you didn't eat them all, and they can reason about parts and whole relations and task completions based on conversational context. These inferences are supported by an understanding of pragmatics and communicative norms. And here is my critical and the limitation about this chapter. There are some stress about this chapter. So the first one is it integrates pragmatics, cognition, and social interaction, and all the data in this chapter was based on children-directed speech. And but there are still some limitations. First of all, it's reliance on pragmatic inference. So this chapter emphasizes children's use of context, intentions, and joint attention, but this assumes a cooperative speaker and a richly interactive environment. Uh, but not all children grow up in such environments. Uh, so this may lack some cross-cultural and social economic differences, and all this stuff may affect access to pragmatic course. Um, Children with language delay or may struggle to use this pragmatic inference effectively. And the next one is underexplored role of input quality. So this chapter focuses on how children process and infer meaning, but pays less attention to the quality and quantity of language inputs itself. Children in language-rich environments may acquire vocabulary faster and more accurately, but this doesn't deeply explore SCS-rated differences or uh, caregiver speech variation. And last but not least, this chapter lack a kind of cross-linguistic perspective. This chapter is based almost entirely on English data, but languages differ in word boundaries, morphology, and non-verb structures. For example, Mandarin speakers may lack articles like a, uh, and the in certain contexts, which may affect how children infer reference in all different languages. Okay, and my conclusion. Children may rely on contextual cues, pragmatic reasoning, and adult sports to build lexical meanings. And fast mapping is only the beginning of infant speaking learning. And refining word meanings and learning idiomatic or abstract uses takes much longer. Over time, children build rich semantic networks and develop the ability to generalize, specialize, and use words flexibly. So, word learning is social and dynamic, involves a lot of adult inputs and interactions between infants and parents. And we should build lexical meaning through our use of word. And here's my references. Thank you for watching.